Hey, sorry this video is a little later than anticipated. Some things came up on Monday. Next week it'll be on the right day. So today, as promised, I'll be talking about the political spectrum. Now there are a lot of various different concepts behind it, or different theories to explain political ideology, political spectrum. I'm going to go over two of the most popular that are really kind of known popularly. I will include resources below to give you more ideas as to what could be there. Now, first, before I go any further, I'm going to define the term political spectrum. Now, political spectrum means basically the various ideologies spread across a wide range of ideologies. So, this could mean this encompasses everything from right-wing conservative or Christian conservative or libertarian to socialist, communist, syndicalist, progressive, liberal, all sorts of different political ideologies. They're all put on this map or some sort of thing that kind of identifies them within the category of political ideologies on a spectrum. Now, one of the most common spectrum theories is the Greenberg-Jonas left-right ideological rigidity. Now, everyone kind of knows this ideology based on a straight line with, it'll be a little backwards, with left going all the way over here and right all the way over here, left being like a Marxist, the farthest left being like farthest left I can think of right now is like a Marxist, whereas on the right, the farthest right would be like a fascist, and right in the middle is centrism, and then everything is sprinkled in along the way. Now, when social and economic ideology line up, like say I identify as a progressive leaning more towards social democracy, democratic socialism. Since both the economic part of my ideology and the social part of my ideology are basically are similar in the political spectrum universe, that makes sense. But say you have a libertarian. Libertarians, while they are conservative economically with believing in the free market and how individuals should be the ones who make the decisions in the economy, whereas I myself believe that there should be a mixing of capitalism and socialism with certain things being done by the government and certain things being done by private industry. Libertarians are like, nope, government has its hands almost pretty much completely off the economy, but social issues maybe a little bit more, hands-on. It's a traditional libertarian, not the libertarian party kind of that we see now. The most the best examples nowadays of libertarians would be like Ron and Rand Paul. Both of them do believe in government action to deal with social issues to an extent, or some other entity outside of the individual. But economically speaking, they fall on more of the right side, of this rigid ideology spectrum. Now, again, it works for progressives, it works for religious conservatives, it works for a lot of different ideologies. Now, a prevailing theory to kind of deal with the Greenberg-Jonas theory would be to turn the straight line into a circle. Now that kind of throws into the air where the centrists, who are like maybe a little bit here on the right, maybe a little bit here on the left with certain ideas. Now that is a good question. No theory is perfect, but it does give us a better idea of where to put, like, say, a libertarian or a someone like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. They're a little bit more conservative than, like, say, Fox News or Breitbart or Alex Jones would like you to believe, but they still are more liberal than, say, Marco Rubio, who's fairly conservative on most issues, but fairly liberal on some. Now, that is a little bit more, again, it's still a fairly rigid system. It doesn't really take into account the nuances that certain political ideologies do have. Now, another fairly popular means to identify a political spectrum would be the political compass. A lot of people have probably taken quizzes that puts you on a grid with on the left side being authoritarian left or libertarian left, and authoritarian right, libertarian right. Now, the way that it identifies political spectrum and political ideology is left-right is going to be more of like your economic issues. Libertarian, like a Rand Paul, a Ron Paul, Gary Johnson, things of that nature. They would be right on the on that spectrum economically, but the up-down the y-axis, the x-axis does the economics. The y-axis does social issues. So on their end, they would be like in the libertarian right area, where social issues they're a little bit more liberal, but economic issues they're a little bit more conservative. And again, I would be right in this little quadrant over here. I'd both economically and politically liberal. Economically and socially liberal. I actually have taken these tests a few times. Almost every time I've come up a social democrat or a democratic socialist, with some additional things that I don't really remember at the point. The issue with this sort of political spectrum measurement is that there's not really a lot of transparency in how the questions are scored to kind of get you to where you are. So that does cause some issues. So yeah, that is those are the two main models that we use that are fairly popular right now to kind of identify political spectrum. Again, there are a lot more models, some that I've actually never heard of, and so I encourage you guys to check it out. This is Joshua with Cultural Catholic signing off.